Hi girls, so we're doing chapter 17.6 on sketching parabolas of the form y equals x take away h to squared. So we're going to go where this is. So again, just remembering that we have our basic shape of our parabola, which is y equals x squared. And we are going to be talking about translations here again. So last time, just remember that we talked about a type of translation, but that was different. If you remember, we had when we're doing this translation, we had a C here at the end that was being added. Okay, and remember that translation was vertically. It was going upwards or downwards. Okay, now we're going to talk about a different type of translation. So our parabola is going to move again, but in a different direction, and we're going to see why. So this time what is happening is that notice that I have y equals x take away h, and this h is inside that bracket. So this h is affecting directly this x and is being affected by this power of 2 as well. So this is what implies that the translation is going to be different. So we have h that is positive, so it's going to be greater than 0. So let's go and see what happens. Here, good. So you can see here I have my basic parabola, x squared, and here I have in blue, the one that I'm going to modify with x takes away h, and all of it is a square, okay? And I'm going to start moving my slider here and see what happens. And as I increase, look what is happening. As I increase my h, it's starting to move to the right. So it's translating to the right, okay? I'm going to stop there for 1 second because I want, no, before I do that, I want to show you because I have more. I'm going to go zoom out. We're going to do zoom out. I'm just zooming out. See that before I was up to 4 or 5, I think, and now I'm up to 100 here. So now I can move my slider more. And you see, as I increase, it translates so many, how many units, like h is equal to 43. So I know that this point here is going to be 43. And I go continue moving. Now h is 63, so I know that this point here is 63, and I keep moving. And then when I reach 100, it goes to 100. So it translates how many units to the right, depending on the value of h. So if h is 100, it's going to translate 100 units to the right, okay? Good. I want to explain why this is the case. So let's go here. Okay. Good. So the formula that we have is in this way. Y equals x take away h to the power of 2. Okay? So we're going to use the example when h was 100. So when h was 100, the one that I just had in my slider there, so I have x take away to 100 to the power of 2. So if I'm going to find the x-intercept, so this is just recapping, so do you remember how to do this? Because you did this when we did linear graphs. So to find the x-intercept, what do you have to do? Just try to remember, girls. So to find the x-intercept, what we have to do is we have to put y equals to 0. Why is that? We see it there because we're finding when y, remember that this is the y axis and this is the x axis. So we're finding where our graph is going to be when y is 0, because in here, in this line, in this axis, y is 0. So I have this 0 here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to sub in this value in here, okay? And I'm going to do 0 is equal to x take away 100 to the power of 2. Now, girls, question. What value does x have to have in, no, what value does x has to have? Oh my goodness, these tenses always makes my head in order for this to be 0. So we just have to think, what number squared to itself is going to be 0? So the only way that this can be true is if x take away 100 is equal to 0. Agree? Because I'm going to just to put it here to the side. I'm going to put it with green. The only way that this is going to be true, if it's 0, is going to be equal to if 0 is equal to 0, which means that this has to be equal to 0. Okay, and that's what I have here. Okay, girls? So if x take away 100 is equal to 0, that means that x has to be equal to 100. Okay, so that's why when I have this equation and it's taking away an h, that is going to change my x-intercept 100 units to the right. Okay, notice that the h is positive. The expression always have this take away and this h is positive. I'm just going to go back to my graph. Notice that the h is positive. I'm moving between 0 and 100. The negative is here in the modification that I did. Okay, so again, h is positive and it's moving to the right. Okay, fantastic, girls. So coming back to this. So again, I have a negative here and the h is positive. What changes? So it translates horizontally to the right. So the x-intercept is going to change, as we saw. And the new x-intercept is going to be x equals h. That's what we found here. The new x-intercept is going to be equal to that value of h. Okay, good. And the y-intercept also changes. Why is that? Only because if I have my parabola and it's translated to the right, we cannot see it here, but if I go smaller, we can see that at the beginning, and I'm going to go bigger, there, smaller, so I'm going to zoom in. Good, there. If I have my h there, and here it is in 0, my y-intercept is here, but as I move it to the right and translate it to the right, look what happens here when h is equal to 2. Oh, I'm going to go 1. There. When h is equal to 1.4, look, the y-intercept now is here. And as I move it, that y-intercept is going to go. So it's going to change, okay? So as I move my parabola to the right, the intersection with the y-intercept is also going to change. So the x-intercept is changing, the y-intercept is changing. Therefore, the vertex is changing because the x-intercept is changing. Okay, so the x-intercept and the new x-intercept is going to be x equals h. Fantastic. Now, what doesn't change? The axis of symmetry doesn't. Again, mistake. The axis of symmetry does change because now the axis of symmetry is going to be this one. So the axis of symmetry does change, but the parabola remains upright. Okay, girls? Wonderful. Now, let's look about this one. Now, just focus what have changed from the here to the next slide. Only this symbol. So now I have a plus symbol there. Okay? H remains positive, but now I have a plus. I'm adding H. So let's go here, and that's what I'm going to do here. I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to add H. Okay? And when I add H, and H keeps being positive, you see, I haven't changed H. H continues to move from 0 to 100, but I only have here the positive sign. What is going to happen now? Now it's sliding to the left. So I'm going to go, make it zoom out. Good. You can see here as I move it, increase the H. The H is positive. See, the H remains positive, but my parabola is translating to the left. Okay, girls? Wonderful. So let's look up here. What changes? It translates horizontally to the left. The x-intercept is going to change. The new x-intercept is going to be x equal to negative h. Okay? And the y-intercept is also going to change because of what I explained before. Now, notice that when this symbol is positive, when I'm adding, it's going to translate to the left. Okay? What doesn't change? We already have said the axis of symmetry is going to change because it's going to change to this. This is going to be my new, this is negative. This is going to be my new axis of symmetry. But the parabola still remains upright, okay? Wonderful, girls. Keep